Hi YouTubers and welcome back. Today I'll be showing you how to quickly check your chainsaw for worn out crankshaft bearings. What you see here today is a part of a Homelite 330 chainsaw. It's a part saw, as you can see in the box. I did show it in a previous Q&A and a YouTuber asked me, how did you diagnose the faulty crank bearings? First of all, I've got it all apart here. And as you can see, I can access the clutch here and the flywheel on the other side quite easily. Now it's really easy to check your saw for worn out crank bearings. All you have to do is grab the shaft over here and move it up and down. So that's exactly what I'm going to do now. Make sure to grab the shaft, not the clutch, and move it up and down as I mentioned. And as you're going to see here, there's going to be a bit of play in there. And you can even hear it. It's important that you only grab the shaft, because if you grab the clutch, there could be some play in there, and that could deceive you into thinking that the bearings are shot even if they're not. So I'm going to grab it again just to show you, and in all directions there's play in there. So what that means is that the bearings on this side are shot. Now you can do the same procedure on the other side where the flywheel is. Now on most saws the flywheel is going to be a bit more accessible, kind of like on this old Husky 50 here. So I'm going to move the flywheel from side to side like that, and then up and down. And there's quite a bit of play in there, as you can see. It's kind of like checking the front wheel bearings on your car. Same idea. So that's very loose. You should not have any play in there at all. And if I do it on the Husky 50 here, you can see there is no play at all in the flywheel or the shaft. That's how your bearings are supposed to be. So this is a more simple method. You don't need to take your saw completely apart. What I mean is you don't need to take the whole crankcase apart and the crankshaft in order to know that the bearings are shot. Some of you guys are probably wondering, what are the symptoms of worn out crank bearings? Well, the most common thing that's going to happen is it's going to wear out your crank seals prematurely because it's putting undue pressure only in one location on the crank seal. And what's going to happen with worn out crank seals is you're not going to be able to adjust the carburetor on your chainsaw properly. Your saw may work good one day, but when you go to use it the next day, you have to readjust the carburetor again. It's a real pain. Your saw is going to become hard to start, and even after putting a new carb kit, fuel line and filter, you're still going to have problems with the chainsaw. In the case with this saw here, I had put a new carb kit, I had checked the fuel lines and everything, and I had even checked the intake boot here and it was in good condition. If you have a steel chainsaw, make sure to check the intake boot before you make any major repairs. Oftentimes what happens is they crack. And after I had done all that work, it still didn't run right, so I knew there was an air leak somewhere. And with the crank seal shot, you're losing a lot of air, thus your carburetor is not going to function properly because it's losing all those impulses of air that should be going to it instead of escaping out the crankshaft and the crank seal. And if you have an old chainsaw, sometimes you cannot get parts for it. In this case here, the owner decided not to fix it, so I just threw it in a box for parts in case I run across another one in the future. And in my experience, I usually find that the crank bearing on the clutch side is the first one to go. That would be because there's a lot of pressure there because the chain is rolling on that side of the saw. And usually I don't see the bearing on the flywheel side wear out as quickly. So if after replacing a whole bunch of parts in your chainsaw, it still doesn't run properly, make sure to check the crank bearings to see if they're still good. Because like I mentioned previously, it's going to make the crank seals wear prematurely. The crankcase is going to be losing air that should be going to the carburetor, and your chainsaw will never run properly. Anyways, I hope this video helped you guys out. Make sure to subscribe, it's always free, and we'll see you next time.